Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we are going to be looking at NEOM,
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia's futuristic megacity project that everybody's been talking about.
Yes.
But we're not just going to talk about NEOM in general.
Right.
We're going to be looking at a recent event
Yeah.
that has gotten a lot of people wondering what's going on over there.
For sure.
Nadhmi al-Nasr,
Right.
the CEO of NEOM since 2018,
Yep.
recently left the project.
Yes. Very abruptly.
Yeah, so we're going to try to unpack that a little bit today.
Yeah. It's got people talking.
We've got a bunch of different news articles and reports
Mm-hmm.
that you guys have sent to us.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see what we can uncover.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that NEOM is not
Right.
just your average urban development.
No, not at all.
It's
I mean, this is...
pretty much the crown jewel
Yes.
of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030,
Right.
which is this massive plan to try to diversify Saudi Arabia's economy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A huge strategic plan.
Away from oil and trying to position them as this
Precisely.
like global hub for technology and innovation.
It's a really ambitious undertaking.
And I mean, it's mind-bogglingly massive.
Oh, yeah.
It's envisioned to house 9 million people.
Wow.
And it spans an area almost the size of Belgium.
I mean, can you imagine?
That's incredible.
That's just huge.
That's like a city that stretches from New York City to Boston.
That's a good way to put it in perspective.
Or further.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just massive, and it includes...
Right, and there's got these amazing concepts within NEOM,
Yeah.
like the line,
Oh, yeah, the line.
this 106-mile long
Yeah.
mirrored city,
Mirrored city.
completely car-free,
Wow.
powered by renewable energy.
It's just wild to think about.
Absolutely groundbreaking in terms of urban design and sustainability.
Yeah.
But all of this ambition comes at a price.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking big money here.
Estimates between $500 billion. Yeah.
And $1.5 trillion.
It's hard to even fathom that amount of money.
Yeah. So keeping that in mind, let's get back to this whole CEO shakeup.
Right.
Because that's really what has everybody scratching their heads.
Yeah, for sure.
No official reason was given for al-Nasr's departure.
Right. Which, of course, leads to a lot of speculation.
Which, of course, leads to all the speculation.
Yeah.
But he has been replaced by
Okay.
Ayman al-Mudaffar.
All right.
And al-Mudaffar previously headed local real estate investments
Interesting.
at the Public Investment Fund,
The PIF.
or PIF, the sovereign wealth fund that owns NEOM.
Okay, so he's got that background in real estate,
Yeah.
which, has a lot of people talking.
Yeah, a lot of the analysts think that this might be a sign that they're going to shift away from the big futuristic vision stuff
Right.
and focus more on the practical,
A more financially viable. Yeah.
parts of the development,
Makes sense.
especially since there's been all these reports of
Rising costs.
Yeah.
And they've had to scale back certain elements.
like parts of the line.
Like aspects of the line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and according to Reuters, that scaling back
Right.
could be because of the financial pressures that the project is facing.
For sure. I mean, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money and,
Yeah.
especially when you consider that Saudi Arabia is
Right.
very dependent on oil revenue.
Yeah.
And global oil prices
They've been all over the place.
have fluctuated
Yeah.
significantly.
Making it difficult for them to fund these ambitious projects.
Right. So is the CEO change a way to steer NEOM
Interesting question.
toward getting a quicker return on their investment?
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, Bloomberg has quoted some analysts who think that this move suggests
Okay.
that NEOM is struggling to live up to its initial hype.
Really?
Yeah, and they see it as a sign that they might need to prioritize profitability over some of the more ambitious long-term goals.
Interesting.
I mean, that's certainly one way to look at it, given all the economic stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's a very carefully crafted statement, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like they're trying to reassure everybody that,
Keep the faith.
everything's still moving forward.
Right.
But do you think that reassurance is really more about, perception than reality?
Well, I think it's important to remember that al-Mudaffar,
Okay.
he comes from this background of real estate investment, right?
Right.
So he understands these investment cycles,
Yeah.
how to maximize returns.
Yeah.
And so this could mean a shift towards developing the parts of NEOM that will generate revenue more quickly, like, residential stuff,
Yep.
houses, commercial real estate.
Yeah.
And that would help offset some of those huge upfront costs
Right.
for the more futuristic stuff.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like building the foundation first, and then you can worry about the big fancy stuff later.
Exactly.
So what about all that big fancy stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what about the line?
Right.
Is that going to be scaled back? Or are they just going to scrap it all together?
It's really too early to say for certain.
Okay.
But a lot of the sources point out that the line, while it is an amazing design, it's had a ton of challenges.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to make it work.
Well, I mean, to build a car-free city in the middle of the desert.
Powered by renewable energy.
That's got to be tough.
That's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking about something over 100 miles long.
Exactly.
It's not like they can just like test out a little section of it.
Right.
So I wonder if maybe under this new CEO, they might try to develop like a smaller, more manageable section of the line. Like a proof of concept.
Yeah, like a demonstration.
To be like, hey, look.
This can work. Right. And then maybe attract more investment that way.
Yeah.
It's definitely a possibility. I mean, it would allow them to really show off the technology and all the design principles without having to commit to the whole thing all at once.
Right, right.
So it's sort of balancing that ambition with being practical.
Right. It's like this weird balancing act between a science fiction novel and like
in a spreadsheet,
a really detailed spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But there was this one detail that I saw.
Oh, yeah.
That I thought was really interesting.
What was that?
One of the sources described al-Nasr, the old CEO, as like a hard-charging executive.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that adds a whole other...
A real go-getter.
A whole other layer to this.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder about what was going on behind the scenes at NEOM.
Yeah. Were there like personality clashes?
Right. Was it just a difference in how they wanted to lead?
Yeah. Like, did they just not get along?
Yeah. Or maybe a difference in their overall vision for the project.
Right. Was this like a clash of visions, or is it really more about all this external stuff?
I mean, it's tough to say for sure.
Right.
You know, we don't have all the inside information.
Right.
But based on what we've seen in these reports, it seems like it was probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
Internal and external factors.
Yeah. NEOM is such a complex project.
And massive.
And it's not just money.
Right. It's not just about the bottom line.
It's Saudi Arabia's reputation.
Exactly. They want to be seen as a global leader.
Yeah.
Innovation and sustainability.
So we've talked about like why the CEO might have left. We talked about the whole economic situation.
Yeah, all those pressures.
Yeah, and even like the internal dynamics at play.
Yeah.
So let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk more about NEOM itself.
Right.
Like, what are they actually promising here?
Yeah, what are the key components?
And how might all this recent stuff affect those big plans?
Yeah, good question.
It's just mind-blowing to think about how massive this project is.
Yeah, it's really hard to wrap your head around it.
Because we're not just talking about the line, right?
The line is just one piece of it.
It's like they're trying to create entirely new industries.
Yeah, they're talking about AI robotics, renewable energy.
Sustainable living.
And all of that powered by renewable energy.
Yeah, and that's what makes this whole thing so interesting to me.
It's like watching the future being built.
Yeah, because it's not just about construction.
Right.
It's about building like a model for what cities could be.
Exactly, a blueprint for a new kind of city.
Yeah, like a city that's carbon neutral.
Hyper-connected.
Super high-tech.
Designed to be a hub for innovation.
Yeah, one source even called it like a living laboratory.
I love that.
For new technology.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
But can they actually do all of this?
That's the big question, isn't it?
And how is this CEO change going to affect those plans?
Well, the sources we've looked at, they have some different perspectives on that.
Okay.
Some of them are really optimistic.
Okay.
And they think that NEOM could attract, you know, all the big companies, all the top researchers in fields like renewable energy.
Biotech, AI, all that.
Exactly. And it could become like this global center for technological advancement.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, it does. But then you have other sources that are a little more skeptical. And they're like, wait a minute, you're trying to attract all this talent and investment to this area that has like no infrastructure and a very different culture.
And it's in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, building a megacity from scratch in the desert
that's hard.
Is a huge task.
Even with like unlimited money.
Right. It's not just about the money.
Yeah, you got to figure out the urban planning.
The social dynamics.
Environment.
All of that.
It's complicated.
It's super complicated.
So like, what are the main things we should be thinking about here?
Okay, well, I think the first thing is that NEOM is still a big experiment.
Right.
And we don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
This CEO change just makes it even more uncertain.
It's like a really good TV show.
Yeah.
Where you don't know what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
But you can't stop watching.
And then the second takeaway is that they really have to find that balance between their crazy ideas and actually being able to do them.
The spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet. Like, how much is it going to cost?
How long is it going to take?
Can we get people to invest in this?
And this new CEO,
right?
He seems like he's all about getting a return on investment.
Yeah, which could change how quickly they do things.
Yeah.
And how big they go.
Like, maybe they'll scale back some of those crazy ideas.
Right.
At least for now.
Yeah, until they can prove that they work.
And then the last thing I think is that NEOM is important. We're not just for Saudi Arabia.
Right. This has implications for the whole world.
Because if they can pull this off, other countries might try to do the same thing.
Right. Everyone will be trying to build their own Nagacity.
But if it fails, that's a pretty big warning sign.
Yeah, it'll make people think twice about these kinds of projects.
So we keep following this story.
Oh, absolutely. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, it's like a real-life drama unfolding.
With really high stakes.
So much ambition.
So much innovation.
It's fascinating.
It's a glimpse into the future.
And we want you guys to stay engaged, too.
Yeah, keep reading about it.
Keep researching.
Form your own opinions.
Because the story of NEOM is still being written.
And who knows what's going to happen next.
All right, well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll see you next time.